Diversify and automate. Diversify and automate, the architecture of a self-running wealth engine. Divide your portion to 7 or even to 8, for you do not know what misfortune may occur on the earth. Solomon, Ecclesiastes 11:2. There is a particular kind of freedom that most people never experience, not because it is unavailable to them, but because they don't know it exists. It is the freedom of a financial system that runs itself. Bills paid automatically, savings deposited without a decision, investments growing in the background while you sleep, work, teach, raise children, or pray. A machine, in the best sense of the word, that you build once and that produces income indefinitely with only occasional oversight. This chapter is about 2 disciplines that together create that machine. The first is diversification, spreading your financial exposure across multiple assets, income streams, and account types so that no single failure can devastate you. The second is automation, removing the need for constant human decision-making from your financial life so that the right behaviors happen whether or not you remember to initiate them. Part 1. Diversify. Warren Buffett once remarked that wide diversification is only required when investors don't know what they are doing. That sounds like an argument against diversification until you read the rest of the record. At Berkshire's 2021 shareholder meeting, he told the audience, "In my view, for most people, the best thing to do is to own the S&P 500 index fund." The S&P 500 index fund is, by definition, a diversification vehicle. It holds 500 of the largest and most enduringly successful American companies spread across every major industry sector. Buffett was not arguing against diversification for ordinary investors. He was arguing against the illusion that ordinary investors are equipped to outperform diversification through individual stock selection. Solomon put the principle in terms that predate modern portfolio theory by 3 millennia. Divide your portion to 7 or even to 8, because you don't know what disaster may come. Risk mitigation through distribution is not a recent financial innovation. It is ancient wisdom, diversification. Layer 1, stock market investments. The most intuitive form of diversification is within the stock market itself. Individual stocks are individual bets on individual companies, and the graveyard of once great companies is extensive. Kodak, which owned photography; AOL, which defined early internet access; Blockbuster, which had a physical presence in every American suburb; Compaq, which built the personal computer industry before being absorbed and forgotten. I learned this through experience, both the instructive successes and the more instructive failures. I bought Apple stock twice, and both times I sold it when every instinct said not to. Each time the proceeds paid off a mortgage, an act of obedience to the principle in Romans 13:8 that I felt convicted about. I got the timing right, but I am under no illusion that I got it right through skill rather than grace. The other side of the ledger tells a more representative story. I bought China Mobile in 1998. The company went bankrupt and I lost everything. I bought Chipotle during a food safety crisis, believing it would pass quickly. It didn't, and I sold at a loss. I've found more failure than success in individual stocks, and I've read enough to know my experience is typical. The index fund argument in one sentence. You are trying to predict with your limited information and finite attention which companies among thousands will outperform the market. And the evidence says you will fail at this more than 95% of the time over any 15-year period. An index fund removes the prediction requirement entirely. The S&P 500 has returned an average of approximately 10% annually for a century. Through the Great Depression, World War II, the stagflation of the 1970s, the dot-com collapse, the 2008 financial crisis, and a global pandemic. The index survives because it is self-healing. Failing companies are removed and replaced by rising ones. You own the entire American economy's largest players, rebalanced automatically at a cost of 0.03% per year. Retirement accounts, tax advantage diversification. Within your stock market investments, the account structure you use is nearly as important as what you hold. Retirement accounts are not just savings vehicles. They are tax optimization tools that can, over decades, add hundreds of thousands of dollars to your outcome. The 401k employer match deserves emphasis. If your employer matches your contributions, even partially, contributing enough to capture the full match is a guaranteed 50% or 100% return on that portion of your investment before it even enters the market. No other investment offers that. The vehicle that gives you the largest long-term tax benefit is the Roth IRA. While you must pay income tax up front to gain entry, everything that happens inside, all the years of compounding where most of your wealth is actually built, comes out completely tax-free at withdrawal, provided you are at least 59 and a half, and the account has been open for 5 years. Unlike traditional IRAs, Roth withdrawals do not increase your taxable income, do not affect your Social Security taxation, do not trigger IRMAA surcharges on your Medicare premiums, and are never subject to required minimum distributions. We will look more closely at each of these advantages in a later chapter. The one genuine limitation of a Roth IRA is how little you are allowed to contribute each year. For 2026, the limit is $7,500, or $8,600 if you are age 50 or older. For an account this powerful, that ceiling feels frustratingly low. If your employer offers a Roth 401k option, however, you can contribute significantly more, up to $24,500 per year, or $32,500 if you are 50 or older, and enjoy the same tax-free growth and withdrawal benefits. If building tax-free retirement wealth is a priority, and it should be, it is worth checking whether your plan offers this option. Diversification. Layer 2. Cash and fixed income accounts. Stock market investments are where wealth compounds over the long term. They are not where you keep money you might need next month. In August 2022, the S&P 500 was down more than 25% from its peak. If you had needed money for a major expense at that moment and your only accounts were stock funds, you would have been forced to sell at a loss. The purpose of cash and fixed income accounts is to prevent that scenario. Diversification Layer 3. Multiple income streams. The deepest form of diversification is not within a single asset class. It is across the entire structure of how money comes to you. The wealthy don't depend on a single paycheck. They build multiple streams of income, some active, some passive, some large, some small. Here is what that actually looks like in practice. The first type is earned or employment income. This is active income, a salary, hourly wages, or freelance work. It's the most common starting point for almost everyone, and there's nothing wrong with it. But it comes with a significant drawback. It stops the moment you stop working. It's also taxed at the highest rates of any income type. The second type is dividend income. This is passive. When you own stocks or ETFs that pay dividends, you receive regular cash payments simply for holding the investment. A high dividend ETF, for example, can generate meaningful monthly income without you lifting a finger. Dividends are also typically taxed at the more favorable long-term capital gains rate rather than as ordinary income. The third type is real estate cash flow. This is mostly passive. When a rental property generates more rent than it costs to own and operate, after the mortgage, property taxes, insurance, and any HOA fees, the difference is yours. With professional property management in place, this income approaches true passivity. You own the asset. Someone else handles the day-to-day. The rent arrives in your account. The fourth type is business income and royalties. This one varies. A business you actively run is active income, but a franchise, a licensing agreement, an online subscription product, or a royalty stream from intellectual property can, once established, become genuinely passive. The system runs, the income flows. The fifth type might surprise you: tax savings. This is passive income in a very real sense. Every dollar you legally shelter from taxation through real estate depreciation, business deductions, or strategic Roth conversions is a dollar that stays in your pocket rather than going to the government. It doesn't show up as a deposit in your bank account, but it has exactly the same effect on your net worth. And the sixth type is credit card rewards. If you run business expenses through a cashback credit card and pay the balance in full each month, the rewards you earn are effectively tax-free rebate income. It's not going to make you rich on its own, but it's an example of a passive stream hiding in plain sight that most people never think to optimize. The goal isn't to have all 6 of these immediately, it's to move deliberately from one stream toward many, so that no single source of income holds the power to upend your financial life. Each new stream you add is another layer of resilience, another degree of freedom. The real estate example deserves special attention because its tax treatment is unusually favorable. A rental property worth $275,000 can be depreciated over 27.5 years, a non-cash deduction of approximately $10,000 per year against rental income. The property doesn't actually lose value. The IRS simply allows you to treat it as though it does, and that paper deduction shelters real cash from real taxes. Here's what that looks like in practice. On a property generating $22,000 annually in rent, you subtract mortgage interest, $11,000, depreciation, $10,000, property tax, $5,000, insurance, $1,000, and HOA, $500. Your taxable rental income drops from $22,000 to negative $5,500. You collected $4,500 in actual net cash flow and owe 0 taxes on it. That negative figure is a passive activity loss that carries forward each year, continuing to shelter income until you show a taxable gain. Now extend the timeline. When your mortgage is eventually paid off, your net cash flow more than doubles. You own a property that has historically appreciated at roughly 5% per year, meaning a $275,000 home becomes worth over $1 million in 30 years. And throughout that period, you will have paid very little tax on the income it generated. The growing cash flow also provides a financial buffer against market downturns, passive income that doesn't depend on stock prices. The final advantage belongs to your heirs. When they inherit the property, the cost basis resets to its current market value, eliminating all accumulated capital gains and depreciation recapture for most estates. They receive a fully appreciated income-generating asset with a clean tax slate. It is, in every sense, one of the best financial gifts you can leave behind. Part 2. Automate. The human body is a masterpiece of automation. Your heart beats without instruction. Your lungs expand and contract without a thought. Without this automation, you would not survive an hour. You would be too busy managing basic biology to do anything else. Personal finance works the same way, once you build it correctly. The goal is a financial system that pays your bills, saves a portion of your income, invests the surplus, and grows your wealth automatically, consistently, without requiring a monthly decision or moment of willpower. When money management becomes as automatic as breathing, you stop making financial mistakes caused by inattention, emotion, or procrastination. Simplify first, automate second. This is the foundation of a robust financial strategy, the automated financial cascade. Here is the full system, step by step. Each layer feeds the next, creating a cascade where money flows from income through savings to investment with minimal friction and no required decision-making once the system is in place. Income arrives in your primary checking account, your operating account for daily life. Keep 1 to 2 months of expenses here. Bills are paid automatically. Connect every recurring bill to your checking account, e.g. Bank of America, checking, or a dedicated credit card for autopay. Set the credit card to pay in full, monthly, automatically. A fixed percentage transfers automatically to your high-yield savings account. For example, viobank.com online savings account. 10% is a strong baseline. This is the primary lesson of George Clayson's The Richest Man in Babylon. Pay yourself first. When your emergency fund is fully funded to cover 3, 6, or 12 months of expenses, the overflow automatically transfers to your brokerage account, flowing into a low-cost S&P 500 index fund, for example, VOO or VFIAX at Vanguard via automated recurring purchases. Your brokerage account contains multiple sub-accounts, each with automated contributions, a general index fund account, Roth IRAs for yourself and your spouse, a 529 or custodial Roth for a child if applicable. Dividends and distributions are set to automatically reinvest. Every dollar of income from your holdings buys more shares, compounding not just your principal and returns, but your dividend stream as well. The power of this cascade is not in any individual step. It is in the combination. Money always moves in the right direction, at the right time, without requiring a decision. Why you cannot time the market, and why it doesn't matter. Dollar cost averaging eliminates one of the most common and costly investor mistakes, trying to time the market. Here is the mathematical cost of trying. According to Hartford Funds research on S&P 500 returns from 1994 to 2023, an investor who stayed fully invested throughout that period saw $10,000 grow to $181,763. An investor who missed the 10 single best days in that 30-year period ended up with only $83,272. That's 54% less. If they missed the best 30 days out of those 30 years, their return would be a whopping 83% less. The market's best days tend to cluster around its worst days, during periods of maximum uncertainty and fear, when the temptation to sell is strongest. The investor who exits to avoid a downturn frequently misses the sharpest recoveries. Dollar cost averaging sidesteps the entire problem. You buy every month, in good markets and bad, purchasing more shares when prices are low and fewer when prices are high. Simplification, the often overlooked third leg. Automation fails when there is too much to automate. The person with 11 credit cards, 7 savings accounts at different banks, 4 brokerage accounts at 3 different firms, and a spreadsheet required to track it all has not built a system. They have built a second job. The financial life that runs smoothly is the financial life that is simple. Credit cards. Be purposeful, not minimal. The right number of cards is not necessarily 1 or 2. It is however many you can manage, pay off in full every month, and justify with a specific purpose. I carry 4. An American Express Blue Card that I have held for over 20 years, which anchors my credit history. A Citi Costco card for its high cash back on Costco purchases. A Chase Amazon card for its cash back on Amazon. And a Chase Sapphire Preferred for travel and transfer points. Each card earns its place. Don't carry cards that don't. And never carry a balance. Bank accounts. 1 of each. 1 checking account for daily operations, 1 high-yield savings account for your emergency fund, and 1 primary brokerage account for investments. If you run a business, add a separate business checking account to keep income streams clean. For your brokerage, Vanguard is my first recommendation for both retirement and non-retirement accounts, with Fidelity and Schwab as equally solid alternatives. All 3 offer self-directed, low-cost index funds. FDIC coverage. Don't over-engineer it. The FDIC insures up to $250,000 per individual and $500,000 per couple per bank. There is no need to scatter money across multiple institutions below those thresholds. 1 local bank for daily operations and bill payment, 1 online bank such as VioBank for your emergency fund at a higher yield. That is all you need. Old 401s. Consolidate them. If you have retirement accounts sitting at former employers, roll them into a single rollover IRA where you can invest in a low-cost index fund like Vanguard's S&P 500 ETF, VOO. Forgotten 401ks are not merely inconvenient, they can eventually be transferred to the state as unclaimed property, and in the meantime, they sit outside your investment strategy, unmanaged and unoptimized. The goal is a financial system small enough to be understood at a glance and simple enough to be managed in an hour per month. When it reaches that level of simplicity, it can be fully automated. And when it is fully automated, it runs whether or not you are paying attention. That is the machine. And the machine, once built, is what makes financial freedom not just possible, but durable. Chapter 6.